Let's just start with the big story. Fulham is one of the biggest stories in the Premier League this season. And the most obvious question, Robbie, how have they done this?
Well, first of all, Ahmed, I think we've got to give praise to go along with the points that Fulham have got this year. I think the expectation was if they're outside the bottom three, that's great. You know, not going back to the Championship. They win today, they go 1 point behind Tottenham into one of the Champions League spots. That's how incredible the turnaround's been. And the credit has to go to Marco Silva, the man in charge of the football club, because he's bought this football club from a club that has yo-yoed, that was too good for the Championship but not quite ever good enough for the Premier League, to a club with stability, to a club with ambition, to a club with drive. They've been a fun watch. And I saw a lovely line from him this week where he said, "My players and my fans, we should dare to dream. We should dare to dream now that the ceiling isn't just staying in the league and survival, that we can be something more than that." And the biggest thing that I think runs through this football club is hunger. There's a hunger and a desire to do well. You start with the club. They've been yo-yo. Everyone thinks they can't quite hold it in the Premier League. The manager, who's been dismissed at other Premier League clubs where they've not thought he's quite been good enough. You think the players, lots of players who couldn't quite make it at other places, have come to Fulham and found a home and found a manager who's building something where everybody feels part of it. It's about the collective, and it's about this team now continuing to do this till the end of the season.
Yeah, so they are dreaming of continuing to do this. Can it be sustained, what we're seeing so far?
I think it can be for the rest of this season. I think two things stand out for me. First one is consistency, as in terms of the lineup. There's only 3 teams in the Premier League that have had fewer changes to the starting 11. That's Newcastle, Arsenal and Brighton, all having wonderful seasons. So what you then gather from that is that you can create partnerships, you can create understanding on the pitch. It's largely the same team that got promoted from the Championship. And the second one, which is probably one of the biggest ones for me, is that when we look at football now, a lot of the times it's about teams wanting to drive inside, wanting to dominate the middle of the field. And when you look at this Fulham team, they want to dominate out wide. They want to create 3v2s, 2v1s in the wide areas when they can. So you've got the full-backs going forward. You've got Harrison Reed, who's been revitalised. He'll drift over to the right-hand side. Deco over Reed is over on that right-hand side. And on the left-hand side, you've got Robinson, you've got Pereira, and you've got Willian. And it's something that's worked really well. And the consistency, for me, has been key, because you know what you're getting from Fulham from the first minute that you watch them.
Is this all Fulham-specific, or is there a blueprint being created here that other newly promoted clubs could follow?
No, there's a blueprint. I think they're aggressive on the ball. They set triggers to the opposition to win it back. When they win it, they go forward quickly. They're aggressive with their play. Danny makes a good point about consistency. Building relationships between teams is so important. Look at Chelsea at the moment. There's no relationships built because the team changes every week. And I go back to the point I made where this team is not built now around any one individual. Fulham teams of the past, if the 2 big stars were out, Fulham can't win. Mitrovic hasn't played in 5 games this season. This team has still performed at a really high level. So Marco Silva is building something that's about the group, not any one player.
And it's as though they've looked at what happened last time. They've watched the highlights of what happened last season in the Premier League and said, right, every time what we did last year, or last time they're in the Premier League, let's completely do the opposite. And that's exactly what they've done.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.